O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Hey everybody, welcome. Episode number 28 of Hunting Collective. I'm Ben O'Brien, and this week I'm joined by none other than Adam Foss. And why should you know Adam Foss? Well, there's a ton of reasons. He is renowned in my mind. He's a renowned filmmaker, a renowned photographer, one of the best mountain hunters you'll ever meet, and one of the best sheep hunters you'll ever meet, denoted by the fact that he's the youngest sheep hunter to ever get the Grand Slam with a bow. I believe he was 24 years of age, which is ridiculous. He came from an ultimate mountain hunting badass family, raised in Alberta, and he's got a lot of stories to tell about hunting with his dad and his brother, and what that means to them, their connection, that led to his connection with the hunting community, and how that's changed his life. And being a part of my generation, somebody I feel is my peer, Adam also has a lot of insight on how we can do better going forward, and what the hunting community can benefit from in the future. So, without further ado, my friend Adam Foss. Hey, buddy.
Benny, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
We're currently in Montana, and we're drinking beer from the aptly named 406 Brewing Company.
Yes, sir.
Here in Bozeman. I like it. Do you like it?
I really like it. I like it's kind of a hoppy, floral.
Yeah. Describe the notes if you were to like.
Hoppy and floral. There's a little bit of citrus in there. Nice and
Mm.
light. You know, summer's kind of coming to an end, and
Yeah.
it's reminding me. It's bringing me back. It's bringing me back to summer.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
almost drank it all before the podcast even started. So I like to make sure everybody knows how much we're drinking and if we're drinking during these podcasts.
I feel like if you're drinking while you're listening at the same sort of rate,
Yeah.
you're just tracking along with.
Yeah. So if you have a growler at home, at this point, you'll have to chug it to almost the bottom.
Exactly.
And then you'll be right where we are, and you'll be feeling pretty good about life. Welcome back to Bozeman.
Thank you, sir.
You're a Canadian, though.
Full-blooded.
Full-blooded Canadian.
That's right.
I'm trying to think of the Canadians I've had on the podcast to see how we can match them up. Now, we've had one Shane Mahoney on.
The Shane Mahoney.
The Shane Mahoney. Who else? Adam Yankee.
Very
who
nice.
I called Janky for a long time until he corrected me.
But you only were saying that over email, so he couldn't tell you.
No, I had
how
on the
you
podcast. because that's how I roll.
Nice.
I'm still a redneck, regardless of how I do this. And I think that might be it.
Number 3.
The third Canadian.
I'll take it. Little known fact: Adam and myself are in the same town up in British Columbia, Kelowna.
Oh, Kelowna, British Columbia being the Montana of the North.
I think in terms of hunting opportunity, in terms of mountains, public lands, fishing, it's a pretty good comparison. Yeah,
I mean, you have every game species you'd ever want to chase.
Basically,
whitetails,
they're there.
mule deer,
They're there.
black bear,
Yep.
grizzly bear.
Don't hunt them though anymore.
Don't hunt them. Fuck them. Elk,
Yep. 2 kinds.
sheep,
3 kinds.
goats,
1 kind.
moose.
1 kind. Yep. I guess there's some Shiras down in the southeast corner, I think.
Is there caribou?
There is.
Bison,
Yep.
wild horse.
Lots of wild horses.
Yep, can't hunt those.
Cat species. Got some
Yeah,
mountain lions,
lion.
bobcats. I think that's most of everything.
Some of the best fisheries in the world.
That's right. Yeah, and you've got blacktails, you've got mule deer, you've got whitetails. There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and I feel jealous. But now that I'm living in Montana, this is my first week in Montana, and I see the people talking around me. They talk like in a language that I've never heard before. But there's these shared resources where they can all go and hunt. There's all kinds of game species running around. Everybody talks about it like, oh my God, we have this. Have you been up the castles? You been up White Creek? You been up Black Creek? You been up Gray Creek? I don't know where any of these places are.
Bear Creek?
Yeah, been up Bear Creek. I don't know where any of these places are, but it sounds like we could all go there and do the thing we like to do. So I'm glad that you live in British Columbia. And you're not far from here. I mean, you drive across the border 10 hours.
Yeah, we're not too far. We share a little bit of border and a lot of similarities. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of differences, and lots of land to roam free. Like you said, it is a novel concept to be able to do the things that we do, and trying to take it for granted. Take it for granted on when it comes to species in BC, and you think about coming down below the lower 48 and the opportunity. I just hunted mountain goat and sheep.
Yeah,
and just rolling through town today and running into a bunch of friends. Oh, how many years did it take you to draw that tag? None. It just, over the counter.
I just went to the counter. The sheep counter.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you try to not take it for granted because it is a pretty fantastic opportunity and one that growing up doing it and doing it now into my adulthood, it is pretty special.
Yeah. No, I think there's a perspective that gets lost in, everybody that hunts or fishes and comes to love it. They have their own perspective, right? Whitetail hunters, a lot of people hunt out of their backyard. They hunt in the back 40. They hunt on the farm, on the ranch, whatever. But that's all they have. Everybody's like the purview of a regular hunter is pretty small, right? Look around, you have certain opportunities in certain places. You come to a place like this, or come to a place like British Columbia, and all of a sudden your vision is widened and the opportunities are endless, and you could buy a combo license in Montana, and if you hunted your ass off, never fill all the tags, which I've been told a few times. And it just doesn't, there's no way to get that perspective unless you come here and you see the people and you're like, these people don't know what they got. Or if they do know what they got, it's hard unless you've lived other places and seen other things to know, especially in British Columbia. I've always, in my past magazine editor jobs, it was always like best hunting destinations. What are they? British Columbia, 1, 2, 3, whatever the number, but it's up there. It's up there. And you grew up where exactly?
I grew up in Alberta, so the province east of BC, but it's straight north from here, right north of us.
All the same species.
Yeah, a lot of the same species, and a little bit different geography. So BC's set up where a huge portion of the population is all centered around the U.S.-Canada border in Vancouver. And then when you go north, it gets a lot less densely populated. So you can really kind of get into some areas where not a lot of people are getting. In Alberta, it's similar, but a lot of the good sheep country is right down south in southern Alberta. So a lot of different areas for bighorn sheep in the area that I grew up hunting, archery zone. A lot of that good stuff is a bit closer to the city of Calgary and the city of Edmonton. So kind of populations of 1 million people in each of those cities or a little over.
You got the Rockies running right through there.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you got the Edmonton bow zone where everybody's sticking big bucks right there.
Exactly.
I mean, I've spent a lot of time hunting that province. It's a great province.
Yeah.
That part of Canada is beautiful. Describe your upbringing. I mean, I know there's I want to say hunting rich. Is that a right term? I mean, your dad is a badasses when it comes to sheep hunting. So give me a rundown.
Yeah, and I think I just grew up following along. I don't know. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have an older brother.
Right.
Just one, though.
And did you follow in his footsteps or look up to him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Had to. Yeah, had no choice. But yeah, I mean, there's a certain age. I think there's a certain age range where, you gravitate towards that. I mean, it's the thing that you know. It's the thing that's in front of you all the time. So yeah. But then you break off at some point, hopefully, and do your own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know if I really consciously made the decision to hunt as much as it was. I was just had a bow in my hand and I was shooting gophers and killing skunks and doing all that dumb stuff you do as a kid because my brother was doing it, my dad was doing it, and followed them everywhere. And for us, it was just one of those things that we love doing. We love being outside, but it was always just a foundation of our relationship. And I told people, a lot of people can sit on a couch and watch TV with their dad every Sunday and watch football and have dinner and go to movies and live life and seemingly have a great relationship. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there's a level of depth and richness that only comes when, or is only enhanced when you're doing it outside and you're doing it together. And I think that I haven't lived in the same place as either of those guys since I was 18 off to college, and both have been able to maintain those relationships just because I think that hunting is such a big part of it. And maybe not even hunting, fishing, camping, being outside, just that part of being able to connect with somebody, even for a small period of time, makes it last. And some of my greatest friendships are with people that might start in that setting. And no matter what, if you can get back to those places with those people, it always seems to rekindle it.
Yeah, I mean, as well as I do, there's this level of connection, right? I always try to describe it as there's experiences that are exciting, right, in life. Football, if somebody scores a touchdown on TV, that you may get excited. Oh, he did it. Yeah. What an amazing thing. But it's a two-dimensional experience because when that's over, what do you get from it?
Yeah.
You get the high, you get the, you're excited for the thing that happened on the television. Very much the same as riding a roller coaster. Ooh, you ride the roller coaster, you get off the roller coaster, you got your high for the moment, but then it's over. Mm-hmm. There's no residual effects from football in your life, I would hope, unless you're in the stands getting drunk and you get arrested, or there's no residual effects from a roller coaster. But hunting in itself is in my experience, is exciting and connective as anything else you can do. But after the exciting part is over, there's this connective tissue of the food, of the experience, of the skills, of all the things that come with it. Mm-hmm. And so I say that about my relationship with my dad. It's just like a 3-dimensional relationship to the point where we have these moments that you couldn't recreate those moments. Mm-hmm. You couldn't recreate the experience of killing an elk with your dad and how that feels. You couldn't do it. And I think that's what a lot of those 2-dimensional experiences that are manufactured by society are trying to do, right? They're trying to recreate that experience that you could have in the woods with your dad. And you had it with your dad and your brother, which all the better for me.
Super lucky. Yeah, super lucky. And I think that the other part of it is you make those relationships, and then that other residual effect is sort of this, I've been thinking a lot about sort of mental calluses that you build on your brain of what you can actually do, what you are capable of. And there's lots of ways to test yourself. You can be an ultra marathon runner, or you can try a new diet, or you can get into CrossFit. You can get into different things that are sort of these disciplines that require a lot of energy and focus and commitment. But I think that hunting somehow makes it sort of elicits this more deeper primal something that's a little bit inside of you that triggers this notion of, wow, I am capable of feeding myself, of traveling through the mountains, of navigating, of getting out of a tough situation, of cutting up an animal that I might not know necessarily how to do that, but I can see the muscle groups. And I tell people that all the time. Well, how do I know what to do? And when will I understand how to do the gutless method on an elk, or when to take 5 steps when I should have only taken 3? It's like, well, 1, experience, but 2, you got the instincts.
Yeah.
It's baked in,
Yeah.
and it's something we haven't lost yet. And I hope we never do. But those hunting experiences always just seem to, you just bring back a flood of those skills that you just didn't know you had.
And then you get back from one of those experiences, and let alone be with your dad or your brother, just somebody you never even met before, or somebody that you've known all your life and never hunted with. And then next time you see him, like, the hug's a little bit it's a little bit tighter, and the handshake's a little bit firmer, and like the stories are a little bit funnier, and you get to a point where, like, man, I'm not sure how we achieved this, but like the human connection, yeah, we got that.
Yeah,
we got that. And it wasn't like we didn't go to a sporting event, or we didn't go golfing, or we didn't go. Man, we went living. Like, we lived together and experienced something that you couldn't recreate anywhere else. And shit, now we have this bond. And I described before, like, walking in trade shows, and you have all these like disparate, like, oh, I hunted sheep with that guy in British Columbia. I was in Hawaii, Lanai with that guy, but the feeling is the same.
Right.
You all experience some real shit together, And I imagine, I hate to compare it, and it's an empty comparison in a lot of ways, but when I've had folks that were in the military on, they describe the brotherhood of these experiences bringing you together. It's not that, but it's some version of that that drives you, and let alone having that with your family, which I think is even a way deeper version of that experience.
Yeah, and it's been really fun. I just got back from a hunt with my wife.
Yeah.
And she grew up downtown Seattle. I took her, first time she'd ever been in the mountains. She called it a tennis shoe summit. Getting to the top of the mountains in tennis shoes.
I just want to stop you real quick, because this is the first time I met your wife today. I heard a lot about her. I had apparently heard a lot about me. I don't know what that means. But like, she seemed to be the most accepting wife of your hunting habits, which are pretty aggressive. To the point where she was suggesting more. And I immediately thought, wow, okay. All right. Adam Foss could not have any other wife than this one right over here. Because not only did she like, well, those hunts are tough. We should do more of them. If you don't get a ram this year, we'll just go back. I'm thinking, you done well.
Yeah, she's pretty special. I think she just knows how sort of the history with my family, and just what a big part of it is for me, and probably what I'm like if I don't do it.
Yeah. My wife knows that part of me too. You get home from one of them big trips, it's like,
yeah,
it takes you a while to come back.
Yeah. And where I was going with it is that she didn't grow up doing this stuff, and she has no barometer of what the normal hunting experience should be. The first trip we ever did was probably 8 years ago, and it turned into it was a 75-kilometer through hike, lake to lake, connecting it, and it ended up turning into a sideways bush bash, horrible weather. She was purple from the waist down from all these willows, and catching the float plane just in time. The guy was doing one pass and picked us up. And it was one of those moments, I'm never doing that again, in your own mind, in my mind too, asking, why do we do this stuff? And for her, it was her first experience at it. And we're looking at each other, feeling the same thing. And this float plane takes off the lake. And we look over our right shoulder, and we see this glacier and this whole flat that we had just covered, and the valley that we dropped into and skirted around, a grizzly bear and 3 cubs and all the goats that were dotting the mountainside. And as soon as that plane came off the lake and we looked over, we both looked at each other, and it was if we wanted to just be right back at that first lake and do it all over again immediately. the bruises and the blisters heal instantly. And we were hungry to get back up there. But
I thought you were like hungry for a pizza.
Yeah, that too, definitely. And so that was one of her first experiences, and it wasn't. I didn't do it strategically. She said, "Hey, I want to go backpacking in this area," and I said, "Well, there's goats there, and let's do a backpacking goat trip, and it'll be fun." And
it'll be fun. Hey, we'll go. It'll be great.
I didn't strategically say, "Okay, well, I'm going to get her involved in some whitetail hunting, and she'll kind of see some deer, and then get her involved maybe on a spot and stock mule deer hunt, and then ease her in." She kind of got thrown into the the baptism by fire.
Well, and in anybody who that experience with your wife, I know you guys don't have kids, but someday maybe like that'll make you better for that. You'll have been through something that is freaking hard. And that's why I hate to repeat myself with these fancy analogies, but I like them. I like to.
Do you like your own analogies?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm a real big fan. People that listen to the podcast will be like, "Oh, he fucking likes this one."
Oh, okay.
He's pulling it out again. But if you think about, Cole Kramer and I were doing a podcast. You know Cole well,
awesome. Oh yeah.
And we were just talking about these backcountry experiences and kind of what they do for your life, the utility of the backcountry experience. And we started talking about if your life was a knife, the old life knife, that just the slog of daily society, the slog of the 9 to 5, the office, the stress, the computer, the kids, the thing, that dulls the knife, right? Because it makes it so life is just harder to go through. Like the challenges become bigger. Sitting in traffic becomes annoying. That like these first world problems become bigger than what they really are. Then you go out in the woods and you realize, and you stay for, like you do for weeks on end, and you overcome challenges like, well, I got to eat, but I got to go over there before I can. I got to go get water down at the creek. That some bitch is a mile drop down, and then I got to come back up to camp. You start to sharpen that freaking knife again, because the harder it is, the things that you're doing, the sharper you are to do them. And then when you come back to the real world, you're sharp as shit. You can cut through life. It's easy. You're sitting in traffic. You're like, at least I don't got to go down and get water at the creek a mile down. So you're not as frustrated with traffic or the sub shop taking too long to make your sandwich or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that perspective is valuable. And then you do that long enough, then your knife gets duller and duller, and you get more frustrated. Then you go back to the wilderness, sharpen that bitch up again, and go back at it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's very much like for me. And that's where I'm sure you're like me. You get back to the real world for a minute, you get a little bit depressed because those challenges are less intense and they're more surface.
They just seem less important too.
Yeah. Yeah. You see people getting mad about like waiting in line for something. Dude, the only reason you're mad about this is because you don't have perspective. You're not sharp enough to just be like, fuck this, man. This is fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing compared to having to chop a tree down, cut the wood up, make a fire, and eat my dinner.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
And what do you think about, I find this too, where day by day you sort of build this layer of immersion, where the first day you're kind of bopping around, you're going, I should be doing something, or because I think that we are just so stimulated, right? Sitting right here, and we have these phones and we have these Netflix shows and we have just so much stimuli to treat us with and access to everything. And I don't know, when I get out there, the first day or two or three, I'm finding myself feeling like I should be doing something. I should be busier. And I think that kind of goes away after a couple of days. And then it's just sort of traveling, glassing here, thinking about where sheep might be, where are we going to camp for water, mapping it out, thinking about the clouds and the way that they're moving and when weather's coming in, and all those things. And you start to just tune in. And I think that's why I like these like longer trips, is because you rip out for an elk hunt in the morning and you just start to get there. You hear in bugles and you're sort of in the moment. And then you go back. Or the thing that I hate too is you get up to the top of the mountain and you get cell service.
Yes, I was going to say the same shit. I'm like, you get to the top, you're like, I made it.
Yeah.
I'm to the middle of fuck. I got emails.
Yeah.
100%. We did that. We were doing that last weekend. We were hiking up and I had no service. We got to the mountain. We sat down because I hadn't even turned my phone on silent because I had no service in camp.
Yeah.
And we got out to the top of the mountain and ding, ding, ding.
Right.
Like, oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So yes, 100%. That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate irony of that scenario.
Ripped right out of you get eject button out of the.
We were talking about Northwest Territories. You spent a shit ton of time up there. We could probably do a whole podcast just about that country. But I remember it's the first I figured it. But it was like this before. But this trip last year in August was the first time I had figured that there's like you have to shake the society off you. You know, day one, you're hiking, you're like, I'm tired, I'll just stop. Or I'm tired, I want to stop. And then day 3, day 2, you're like, I wish I could get a shower. I'd really like a shower. And then day 3, you're like, I'd love a lasagna that I'm not eating out of a bag. But then day 4, you're like, fuck this shit. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want any of that stuff anymore. So, like, you take some time, sometimes soon, sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it takes a week sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
To just shake off the comforts of society and just be there. Just be in the moment and be like, this is going to be tough, but that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, even just my lungs, my hip, really it's your brain that's trying to tell you, like, remember that thing that we were doing that was really comfortable? We'll go back to that. We can still go back. We can call them. The plane will come pick us up. We'll go back. And 3 or 4 days into it, they're like, no, turn them back now.
Exactly.
We're too deep.
Exactly.
We're too deep.
And
that's beautiful.
That reminds me of something Frankie said on this. It's my wife, Frankie, said on this last trip, and we had this hunt plan. We walked in up this valley, and then we punched up into the Alpine, and we hunted this ridge and looking at all these bowls. And we were pretty far back into this spot, and it was cold and it snowed, and we ended up killing this goat way far back, and it turned into a total, as they do, bushwhack out of it. It took us 3 days to bushwhack this goat out. Point of the story, she, reflecting back on it, she said, well, it only started to get really fun when it got hard. And I said, bingo.
Love you.
Because she was going, oh, this is cold, and I don't know, and we're not really seeing a whole lot of rams, and she enjoyed it, but she said it only really got fun when it got hard. And I went, holy shit, you've learned more from these few handful. She's been to Spain hunting ibex and Argentina red stag, and she doesn't hunt herself. Let me clarify. She's around glassing for animals and hiking around.
Yeah.
She's done these sheep hunts in Alberta for bighorns with my brother, and goat hunts in BC, and we're at the
refilling
end
a beer.
We're at the end of the life of this growler.
I'm just gonna give you the whole.
Okay.
I thought we had a lot of beer, this growler, but
started to evaporate.
Yeah, there's a hole in the bottom. Continue.
And she was saying, "Hey, it only got good when it got hard." And I said, "Wow, you've learned more about this stuff in a compressed amount of time than most people know." Because, and sometimes I find myself, and this is why we picked this hunt. We had a friend, this is sort of an old, as all best hunting stories start. Well, all the old pilots say that the biggest rams in that range live here.
And all the old pilots.
And so we both leaned in and said, "Where?" And he said, "Here." And he said, it's about 25K, which are, 18 miles up the horse trail. Then you got to take a left, and then it's a couple more days back, and then you drop in. And anyways, this whole hunt was planned around a good old fashioned hard mountain hunt. And that's kind of what I was going for. And I think that you think about ways to make it easier, better technology, lighter boots and equipment and apparel and packs and higher calorie foods, bows and rifles that shoot farther and more accurate. You think about ways to make it easier and more efficient and better for the hunter. And we sort of relearned that the beauty of it and the challenge of it is in how hard it is. And for her to say that at her junior level of Jedi hunting training, was pretty astounding. And she didn't miss a beat. She also said, the only way out is out. What am I going to do?
Yeah,
we got to go out.
That's the most beautiful thing about those trips. How many times in your daily life do you get to a point where I either have to do this or I don't? Like, I either have to do this or I die. Or I have to do this or I'm here for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I either whack this thing out of here or I've got to drop all this stuff. Like, there's consequences out there that are tougher and harder than consequences of daily life. I find even the hardest thing in my daily life, which is relatively simple, becomes this like, well, I could do something else. It is 100% harder to do something than it is not to do it.
Right.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful that Frankie's has kind of picked that up so quickly, and the fact that you picked it up as a child, I'm sure from your dad, who's a, as we said, a badass. I don't know that I didn't pick it up from my dad, but we lived in a different place. We didn't have sheep. We just hunted white-tailed deer, and it was more of a communal thing. It was more of a, sharing the meat, sharing the time, sharing the family. It was less of a challenge to ourselves. It was cold in the morning, of course, but if it's sitting tree standing cold, it's all right. It was not until I was later in life till I started discovering this kind of like perspective-giving experience, and I was glad to have it when I got it, but I wish I had it sooner.
And I think what the coolest thing about hunting is that there isn't very many activities where there's a myriad of options for progression.
Yeah.
And it is such a personal journey. And we talked a lot about that in that hunt too, because I think it's really easy to compare ourselves to other people that hunt in different states, on the internet, on TV, and what's relative for that person is not the same for me, is not the same for you. And it's a personal quest. It's one of the only activities that is like that I can think of, it is so personal, and there's so many options. You can do it any way you want, and you can always make it harder. You can always make it easier. You can always make it different.
Yeah.
And you just talked about being up here in Montana, and all the public land that's available, and you could never hunt out of a 2-hour circle of Bozeman, Montana, and probably hunt the same trail twice.
No.
Or for the same species twice.
No.
And you start thinking about that. And you start zooming out and thinking about ways to put a different spin on a hunt that you've done. Or one thing that we've sort of gotten into is taking newer people out to it and experience it through their eyes. And there's just it's just an infinite life doesn't have enough years to be able to experience all these things. And so I think that it's truly just such a special thing about this thing that we love to do is that we can always do something different and make it harder. And that journey is so personal to track yourself along through it, and to see her starting on this journey and wherever I am in this journey, whenever you are in this journey is something profound. And I just encourage everybody to kind of remind themselves of that it's about you, the way you want to do it and how you want to do it, not anything else when it comes to hunting.
Yeah. Do you find I've struggled with that concept for a lot of reasons. I think social media has kind of given us all this prism through which to shine the lights, right? You know, this is what I do, but it's always the best shit. You know, it's not like I'm terrible at this. Oh my God. I'm a
mediocre hunter.
I forgot my fucking boots, man. Like, it's not that. It's always like, I did it. Yeah. I'm so fit. I killed the sheep. Oh, so that is a struggle too. But the personal experience, I think, is a very positive thing for hunting, but it can be a negative thing too, because it is such a personal experience. There isn't a scorecard.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't an announcer saying what you're doing and when. And the level of success that you glean, I think, is most basically the how you feel when you first lay hands or first lay eyes on that animal. You know, you could kill the 400-inch bull and do it in a way that's not pure to you and not feel much when it's dead.
Mm-hmm. You
could kill a raghorn bull that took you 14 days to hike to. It's going to take you 3 days to hike out and feel this immense satisfaction in that. And so there's so much different levels you can't. And then we get into all these, like, how do we, I mean, you're a photographer, you're a videographer. You've been a part of some amazing films. You've been a part of some amazing photography. And then it's like, how do we capture that? How do we tell that story? Because it's such a personal damn thing that if I tell my own personal story, it may, to somebody else somewhere else, it may seem like I'm an egotist, or it may seem like I don't care about the animal, but really it's just your own perception of it.
Yeah, and I think that's something that as hunters we need to get better at, because I mean, it's the same way when you hit the trade show floor, or probably when you're hanging around a bar here in Bozeman, and you can see the light in somebody's eyes when they say, hey, I called in this raghorn and I shot him at 8 yards, and they can't even get the rest of the story out. Yeah. And you go, that is it. Or you see a guy that pulls his phone out and goes, that one was 368, this one's 371, this one was 340. I was kind of pissed off that year. And you go, whoa, you're missing the boat.
Yeah,
you're missing the boat. And I think the more that we can kind of drill back to that feeling of connection and accomplishment and really promote that, I think the better we're doing, because I just think that I want to get back to that feeling.
Yeah.
The feeling that you had when you were sitting in a tree stand, a deer comes in for the first time, and you just about fall out of your tree stand. You're shaking so bad.
Oh my God. Yeah. And it there's some purity to that, right? You know, we always talk about purity score. Like you know, is to me, you know, we've gotten twisted up in a lot of subject matter, right? As hunters, how big the antlers are, is it public land or is it private?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how far did you go back? Did you pack them out? Did you drive an ATV to them or whatever? But all those things are like building blocks on which you build your personal experience, right? Your wife has been lucky enough to be married to a fucking mountain hunting badass. It's her experience.
I don't know if that she would probably argue with you that that's not lucky.
What a pussy.
She probably wish she was married to a badass restaurateur or something like that. So she
eat a steak and relax. But yeah, I mean, so her, you know, I mean, she's lucky to get that like initial experience of hunting to come through your prism and the way that you see things and do things. A lot of people just aren't lucky to have that. My personal journey was very much like just a regular hunting weekend warrior. It was all about me and my dad, kind of me and my friends. That was all. It was all kind of about that. But then, I went away from hunting for a while during college, and it just wasn't a big part of life. Didn't have a lot of opportunities. Was busy. Came back to it professionally and discovered this immense, vast world that I fucking knew nothing about. Didn't even know how to work a shotgun when I got my first job in the industry. And I just remember thinking that journey was essential to where I am right now. To my respect for the wilderness, my respect for public lands, my respect for coming to a place like Montana and looking around and being in awe. It wouldn't have happened if it didn't happen that way. Doesn't mean I'm a bad hunter. It doesn't mean I'm a good hunter. It just means that's the way it came to me. And the way it came to Frankie was just as great.
Well, a whole lot of willows.
A lot of willows. Purple from the waist down.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's a deep deal. But your experience very much was family oriented. And I would say next level, right? I mean, sheep hunting is it's not elitist, but very few people are able to do it because it is a hard thing to do, and it is there's not a lot of opportunities running around.
Yeah.
So you were able to achieve some things young in your life that maybe not a lot of people have. So give me a rundown of kind of like when you were first introduced to sheep hunting, and then how it grew on you, and how you kind of got a bit of a reputation.
I hate talking about this shit.
I know you do. I know.
Can't you just post it in the show, like a show's note?
Show's notes. This guy. No, you got to be able to talk about yourself on a podcast.
Oh my gosh!
But just run through it pretty quickly. You don't have to give me the full details.
Okay.
We'll get back to.
Well, yeah. So, like I said, I grew up in southern Alberta. Awesome opportunity for hunting just about everything, including bighorn sheep in the Canmore bow zone. So my dad grew up hunting that stuff. I should back up. I grew up hunting that stuff with my dad. My dad hunted that stuff back in the day in the 90s, 80s when it was before all this stuff was on draw, and you could. I mean, he's just got stories about those. I mean, you should see some of these pictures. Actually, the 3-pin sight where the pins are as big as a matchstick, and the pin is like your 10-yard pin. You're like 15-yard pin.
Your arrows are like 115 feet per second.
And then your 20-yard pin is
it's down by the bottom can.
Yeah. And he said, "Oh man, if you would have seen some of the rams that we missed." And the rangefinder, well, there was no rangefinders. And then the first rangefinder was that split level thing.
Yeah, shit. And he had to throw a rope at him, then pull the rope back in.
Exactly.
He's 30 feet.
Yeah.
But he ran away.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
next time.
But anyways, so grew up doing that and just exposed to the beauty of the country. And the country kind of locks you in because I was actually just writing this article about talking about climbing up and walking through the boulder fields and the shale and then the alpine scrub, and then that first moment of emerging out of the alpine and just seeing sheep country. And you probably experienced that in the Northwest Territories.
Yeah, very much so. Yep.
It's impactful. It's vast. You can just look at it, and it's almost like a piece of art that you're looking at. And the more that you look at the piece of art painting, you see the brush strokes, you see the cracks, and you see the way that this is laid out geographically, but also start to see it as how an animal might see it. And you see a little bit of water here and sort of the shade this cliff is throwing, and maybe they're going to go in there in the afternoon, and this black shale that they love pawing their beds out and bedding in. And I can start to see some trails carved out. Looks like they might go through that pass. And you start to look at it, and the more you look at it, the more it's just sort of enthralling. And so that part of it, as much as it is about the sheep hunting, it is the country is just right there with it, and maybe even more so. And I'm kind of making that argument, I think, to myself.
I think so, because sheep are not this like wary. I mean, they're wary, but relative to other animals, they're not docile, but they're you can get after them pretty good. Yeah,
you can get after them. Beautiful country, and this rugged country is right there along with these animals, and so I think that got into me right away. Yeah. And from there, it just sort of evolved, and lucky enough to have a father that was interested in it, took me on hunts in the province, out of province. Same with my brother, followed along in his footsteps, and just got to see it through the eyes of somebody who it gets their heart going. It gets them revved up. It's all they can think about. And I think about my brother and the way he is now to this day. I mean, maybe even more obsessed than he ever was, which is insane.
Yeah.
And Frankie and I were talking about this in this last hunt too. I'm kind of at this point where I'm trying to experience a bunch of different stuff. Probably same as you. You talked about your year last year. You were in Nepal and New Zealand and Hawaii and Northwest Territories and BC, everywhere. And that's, I feel like I'm kind of there in that stage of, hey, I want to go. Hunting is a vehicle to take me to all these places and meet all these cool people and see these animals and the mountain landscapes they live in. And so for me, I'm kind of like taking that approach. And my brother is like focusing on the hardest possible fucking shit I think you can do with the bow in your hand.
Yes.
And which is awesome. And to watch him push it, and he was the first bow hunter to kill an ibex in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And we're going to Tajikistan on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And he's going to try and kill a Marco Polo with a bow.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. There's a lot of sheep. And there's
You gotta be kidding me, man. You gotta be joking me. That is legit.
It's yeah. We'll see.
To do it all with a bow, I mean, it just the sacrifice, the time. I mean, I know your brother has a family, correct?
Yeah,
Wife,
he's married.
Kiddos, yes?
None that he knows of.
Yeah.
It might have been one of those
one of those kids. That last trip to Argentina.
Yeah,
It was a good time.
No, but just to do it with those guys, my brother and my dad, just to see the way they kind of operate. And like you said earlier, you follow in these footsteps and then you make your own path. And for me, what I've done is evolved and had these experiences and looking for challenges and new places and I don't know where it goes from here. And probably same for you. You go, well, what's next? Is it the value I get from throwing a dart at a map on a chunk of public land and going, all right, I know nothing about this mountain range. I'm going to try and figure it out all on my own. It might take me 4 years to kill a bull in there, but when I do, no matter how big it is, it's going to be satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, I think the beauty is that it's like if you're wandering a path, you don't know, for me. And, there was a time in my life where I decided that this was going to be my profession, right? In some way, shape, or form. I just decided I'm going to commit to the hunting industry, the hunting community. That's going to be my people. And that's what matters.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there because they're great and they're super friendly and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
And the moment that I decided that, my hunting life took these like ridiculous turns that it probably should have never took, like things I should never get to do. But at the same time, like I felt like, hey, I'm earning them. You know, these are things that I'm not any better at this than anybody else, but these are things that I certainly appreciate in the moment and in hindsight and any future adventures. But then your life changes, right? I had a kid and my life changed. And when he got old enough to have an opinion, which has been recent, I realized that I was never going to be truly happy in my pursuits if he wasn't top of mind. You know, or any future kids I might have. So that's my journey, though. I went from coming into the industry, in the hunting industry, not really knowing much about shit, having been a hunter, but wearing coveralls and shooting a bolt action rifle and, you know, loving the skinning parties of my dad, to going in a ball to shoot a blue sheep. The fuck out of here. You know, yours is a little bit more direct. Like your dad led you down the path a little, but you, I mean, the places you've been and things you've done weren't mapped out for you. Nobody mapped that shit out.
No.
So tell people how to be Adam Foss. You know, how do you,
Oh, man.
because even in your business life, right? Yeah. In creating content for brands, creating content for clients and the things that you do, you can't map it out. You can't say like your creativity, the type of photos you want to take, the equipment you're going to use, it all just kind of like comes. It just keeps coming.
Yeah, I think energy follows what you're focused on. You focus on it. You focus on making an intentional shift to build everything in your life around this direction that you're headed. And it's amazing the way that things start to roll out, and the opportunities that present themselves, or that were always there that you just didn't really see until you made this conscious choice to pursue something. And I'd like to think that I mapped it all out and did some goals and had a really strategic plan. But like you said, it was sort of focusing on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, and less strategic, man.
Yeah, I think 5-year plans are fucking bullshit. Because I think you never had a destination, right? But your dad, and greatly so, like set you on a path, right? My dad set me on a hunting path. Our starting points couldn't be any more different if you try to place some different points on a map.
Right.
But somehow we got to the point where we're sitting in a room talking about hunting, you know, and it's the path we were set on. And if I'd have been like, well, you know, the 5-year plan, you know what the 5-year plan is? Here's what I'm going to do. Northwest Territories, kill a caribou.
Yeah.
I probably would have never got there. I might have, but it wouldn't have been as serendipitous as what it was. And I'm sure for you, the same thing. Like you find yourself in Argentina chasing red stag. I could never map that out. And people ask you, well, how did you get to where you are today? Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just really like to hunt.
Really like to hunt. And it's cool. And you talk about sort of perhaps some of the cons with the relative exposure to perhaps social media and the way that hunting is presented. I think about that a lot. I also think about the connectivity to the hunting world that we have with that tool. And you're talking about hunting red stag, 2 people that I've gotten to hunt with, the Patagonia River Guides, Rance and Travis, that run a fishing outfit and had a fishing lease and said, holy shit, there's some monster red stags here. We better start hunting these things. And then a really good friend that's just have come really close with him and haven't spent a lot of time with him other than hunting. Santiago, down in Argentina, we hunted red stag with him, and it's the same thing. It's like I would never know these guys existed without this sort of tool for outreach, and so it's a double-edged sword too. It's a challenge that I find myself. Maybe you're the same, but you think about how much that warps our sense of value and just peace with what our lives are.
Yeah.
And we don't have to compare every single thing that we do. And then on the other hand, there's these positive, deep relationships that we've made because somebody saw a picture on some Instagram post that a brand shared, and they said, "Hey, would you ever consider coming hunting red stag?"
Then you got a friend.
And you have a friend.
Yeah.
And the total side note, people in Argentina are awesome. They are the type of people that if you invite them to, if you said, "Hey, come on up and hunt elk right now," if they could, they would. And they would sleep on that couch right there for 3 weeks.
That's my type of people. That's my type of people.
And vice versa. You're down there.
Come on in.
They'll give you the shirt off their back. And
it feels like that in New Zealand, other places like that. There's just like little cultures that have maintained this ethic.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. And I think that's something perhaps maybe in North America, maybe we're just tightwads or I don't know what it is, but there's just so many cool people out there that hunting has connected me with, and I'm so fortunate. And it's totally a pay it forward type thing. We were just doing this trip up in northern BC, blacktails, and we were cruising around. Oh man, it's just like a long story. But this guy, like, we were looking for the spot. We wanted to get up in the Alpine. We talked to this guy. He was cutting this logging road, and he goes, "Hey," he kind of waves us over, and we're going, "I don't know if we're supposed to be here." And we're looking for this trailhead, and we drive up, and he goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we said, "Well, we're deer hunting." And he went, "Oh, you guys should go over there." And we said, "Really?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I see him up there all the time." And he goes, "Oh no, you got to cross the bay on a boat." "Well, that's okay. I got my boat. You guys go grab it. It's the blue one." And we were going, "What's your name? What's your address? Or what's your phone number? Here, do you want us to leave anything with you as collateral?" He said, "No, just take my boat. I don't give a shit." So that's something I think is in the north. You might have experienced that.
Oh,
a little bit of time up there.
Oh, of course.
It's
of course.
Maybe in South America, New Zealand. Seems like European people are like that sometimes. And I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent.
No, but I will
stuff.
say this, man. I always think about life in the place I live, and I've lived in a few places. Like, what is the culture of the neighbor?
Right.
I always go back to the culture of what a neighbor is. In America right now, in a lot of places I've lived, a neighbor is a person you're either annoyed by or you give the courtesy wave to.
Right.
And that's the culture. Now, it's not everywhere, but fuck all, it's a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And the neighbor in New York City is somebody that you yell at or ignore or have to wait in line behind to get a coffee.
Right.
But there's other places in the world where the neighbor is this, like, it's you are now part of a community.
Mm-hmm.
The culture of the neighbor is uplifting, it's sharing, it's giving, it's sleep on my couch, I sleep on your couch. That's the culture of the neighbor. We have fucking lost. My dad, his culture, he's like, dude, when I was a kid, I'd run around the neighborhood and they just let us go and whatever, how we just run in somebody's house. We don't know who they are. Run out. We don't care. Have a cookie, leave. I was like, Dad, that is, you eating people's random cookies, man? 2018, you can't be eating random cookies.
You can't be eating those cookies. You don't know what are in those cookies.
Yeah.
You don't know what state you're in.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be good. But there's this, we're more connected, right? We're more connected than ever. You were able to connect to somebody across the world, but then have a relationship that was built on disconnect, which is this oxymoronic activity that we do because we're like little babies when it comes to communicating because we just got this tool not too long ago, the tool of social media and internet and instant communication with anybody around the world all the time. So we just got that. In the span of human communication, that's been like maybe less than 1% of the time. And so we're a baby with that shit. We're terrible. Like we get frustrated. We're like, fuck you when we're on the internet. But it's not, but it also can lead to awesome things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as oxymoronic as some of these cultures can be. And I've found the Hawaiian culture. I don't know why it's islands.
Definitely.
You feel like islands that just you just have this. You have to get on a boat to leave or a plane to leave. So we're all together on this floating little piece of land. And New Zealand, Australia.
It's hard to get stuff. It's hard to get stuff in the north. It's hard to get stuff on islands.
Yeah.
You got to trade. You need a cup of sugar.
Yep.
You need a couple extra arrows if you ran out.
Yeah.
You go to your neighbor. That's where it's so much more connected. It seems like you can't Amazon Prime shit to Haida Gwaii in the north coast of BC.
Did you ever think about I try to ask a lot of people this. Do you ever think about the fact that you can live in this society in Bozeman, Montana, and never leave your house and live a very productive life? You could never leave your house. You could get all the food you need, all the shelter you need. You could have people, all the relationships you need. You could see people in video chat. Never leave your house, and you could be the productive. You could be a CEO of a company. Never fucking leave your house, not one time. How scary is that?
Definition of productive.
Yeah, definition of productive. But as our society grades the gamut of like, what's a good person? You'd be like, well, I have a job.
Right.
I've got a family.
Right.
I've got friends. I just don't ever leave the house.
I'm going to die in here. My cats are going to eat me.
Yeah, my cat. Well, they always have cats.
They always have cats.
Why do they have cats? Why are the cats? But yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of what I think about is what our society allows us to do, but then what toll does it exact for that allowance? You know, we can do kind of whatever we want. Technology has allowed us to do a lot of things, but it also exacts a toll in our humanity. It takes a little bit away. It takes a little bit away of our connective tissue along the way. And hunting fucking gives it back.
Hey, I think we solved all the world's problems.
Well, I mean, the growler is empty. You have to leave and go to a thing that I thought was cool when you were telling me earlier. Your wife and yourself, you had a group of friends. You do what's called a cookbook night.
Cookbook club.
Cookbook club, which is even better because it's not just one night.
That's right.
It goes forever. You pick a cookbook, right? Just a single cookbook.
Yeah.
Now, do you pick a different cookbook every time, or you cycle through this?
There's actually a pitch week. Everybody brings a cookbook.
Oh.
You pitch your cookbook. The group votes on the cookbook. Once that cookbook is selected, the group will cook dishes out of that cookbook for maybe 4 times until we've cooked everything through it or everything that looks good. And so you'll bring an entree, I'll bring an appetizer, somebody will bring a dessert, all from this cookbook. And we'll meet once a month usually. And it's basically an excuse to drink wine and
I was
good
gonna
cocktails.
I guarantee you're drinking during it. There's no way. You're sitting around having tea.
There's some food. And there is. What it does is it makes you cook Korean food, Icelandic food, old school home cooking Italian food, and things that you would never just sit there. I mean, I cycle through tacos, pasta, elk steaks, and then I probably do it all over again.
That's my 3 things I can make. That are the 3 things I can make, and that is it.
And I think that it just gets you out doing something different. And we all meet over food. The kitchen is where everybody gathers at a party.
Yeah.
Food is where stories are told. And so I can't tell you that we had this grand plan. It was a friend of ours who came up with it, but it was actually really cool. And these friendships were meaningful. And we knew the nice thing is anytime in this day and age and the travel that you do and I do, that when you say bye to a friend and you know the next time you're going to see him, that is a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's like when you say bye to a relative and you say, I know I'm going to see you at Grandpa Tim's birthday, or I'm going to see you at Christmas. You have these Christmas, Thanksgiving, you have Easter, maybe you have these gathering points with family that you know you're going to see them. And now as an adult, we're in our 30s, we get to choose our family and our friends, and we get to say, hey, we're going to make it a priority to spend time with these people. We love them like family. And I think that feeling, this little cookbook club thing, to have that feeling and to have a reason to get together and say, hey, I'll see you next month is awesome.
Oh, shit. That feeds the soul, man. Not to get too dramatic about it, but I always I got a pretty steady soul, I think. Like I'm not too sketchy on life. I think I'm pretty grounded. I'm like, I know what I want to do. I'm happy with this. I'm not happy with that. I don't need to see a therapist and talk through any of this shit. And I wonder why that is a lot of times, because I'm not any better than anybody else. But then I think back to my family life, and I'm like, when I was a kid, there's always a place to go back to. Yeah. There was always see you at Easter. Both grandparents' house, our house, it's cousins. It was close family you could always go back to. And I feel like that steadies your soul. Like life's less trouble, even if the people that you have to go back to are fucked up.
Because they are.
Because they are. I mean, there's no perfect family. Your family is fucked up. Anybody listen to this, if your family's perfect, just write in and tell me how you've achieved it.
Ask them if they're adopting.
Yeah, I'll be in. But yeah, I mean, those things I think they're steadying, and I think it's hard to recognize sometimes in your life. But yeah, I mean, you have, to bring that all full circle and be real melodramatic about it. Hunting is that way too. It steadies your own relationships, but it also steadies your life a little bit. It gives you, like a little perspective on what the old soul needs to feel like on a daily basis. So
No question.
You don't have to go get therapy and talk through your issues. You can work them through on a freaking mountain, man.
Go buy a growler from 406, do a podcast, or go hunting. But it is pretty astounding, and I think I'm excited for it because I'm excited for you to find that in Bozeman, and that's something we miss. We lived here for a while, and whether it's your little 3D archery league or the same group of guys that you go for a beer with, or cookbook club, or your fishing buddies, there is a really good sense of community here, it seems. And just walking around town today, we just ran into so many people.
Yeah. We were talking about that. I said, one of the most exciting things for me in moving here was like, I think this place could be a community.
Yeah.
And I said, I live here for 30 years because I think it's a community.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I were talking about that. You live in a place and you're there for work, or you're trying to like adopt the culture, and it's a lot of effort. Make friends. It's a lot of effort. But when you get to a place where like, I could smoothly fit into this without a whole lot of monkey wrenching, just these are my people. I feel like I could, I could be friends with them. They could be friends with me no matter what. I met somebody at the gym there earlier today, and they were like, I had a BHA vest on. They're like, BHA, I love BHA. And the next hour, we sat and talked for an hour. I'm like, you didn't even work out. sat and talked for an hour. So yeah, I mean, it's that kind of feeling that means something to me. Like coming back to a place and be like, this is my place. These are my people.
Yeah.
And that's important. And hunting can provide that. It's provided that for me in like an abstract way. But there's some things that are more important. And the cookbook club is a delicious way to make that happen.
You can adopt that. Maybe you should join our cookbook club. We're not
maybe
here.
I'll take
There's
maybe I'll take
seats.
your spot. Are these nice people?
They are the best people. They are
they handsome
quirky
and talented?
and weird, talented, really good cooks, creative.
It's a lot of pressure.
We do some wild game.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we do wild game and signature cocktails.
Oh
yeah.
Yes. Well, give me one. Let's close out with one signature cocktail. I just need, I mean, we're right there. Signature cocktail, something that
my own personal or
the Adam Foss sheep tag special.
Well, I don't know if this is a sheep tag special, but I'm a fan of the Caesar.
Oh,
I am a big fan.
The Caesar salad or Caesar the
Not the salad. I'm not talking about the salad, folks. It was our signature cocktail at our wedding. A Caesar, for those that don't know, is a Canadian cocktail.
Okay.
Invented in Calgary, Alberta
in
the late 60s. The Palazzo Hotel.
This sucker's got 58 years of history.
That's what I'm talking about.
Damn.
Lots of people talk about a Bloody Mary. But, you ever drink Bloodies after a long night?
Oh, it's bullshit.
They ain't got shit on the Caesar. The Bloody Mary's wicked cool cousin. It is clamato juice, which is clam and tomato juice. Vodka.
I got to go back to clamato juice. Never had it.
You probably have. I've had a Caesar with you at one of the shows. I know I've had one with you.
Have we had a Caesar? Now, listen, I was probably 6 whiskeys deep when we started knocking these down.
It might be. And the beauty of the Caesar is it is the hangover cocktail. And so let me break it down. Clamato juice, which is tomato juice and clam juice. You can't really get it in the States. It's a Canadian thing, or you got to have it special ordered in.
Ooh.
Not everybody has it.
All right. Intriguing.
Vodka, Worcester sauce,
Ooh.
Tabasco, salt and pepper, rim the glass with a lime, rim it in a little bit of seasoning salt.
Ooh.
And now You do a toothpick with a banana pepper, spicy pickle, asparagus. People even put pepperoni or beef jerky in them.
Oh my God.
I had one at, this is where I had a Caesar with you. I'm remembering. It was at SCI.
Okay. We're in Vegas.
It was breakfast at that, whatever hotel it was. We had like a really quick breakfast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That was a Caesar. That shit's good.
There you go.
I'd like to have drank something. Don't even remember what it is.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
That one
I
had a
fucking
piece of
remember
fried
that.
chicken on it.
Yes, it had a giant piece of fried chicken.
That's right.
Yes. Okay.
So
Well, listen. That's like, yep. I think a challenge for the listener is to create your own Caesar based on the recipe that Adam just provided. Is there any other like main takeaway things you got to do?
There's a secret. And
Something you want to give away?
well, what do you think?
I trust. I'm a trust.
Nobody's listening.
No, we're in the trust tree. We're in the nest.
There is a secret among Caesar enthusiasts and mixologists everywhere. My brother does this, and he makes the best Caesar on
He's
planet
about to kill a
Earth.
Marco Polo sheep with a bow.
So he knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's talking about.
A little bit of pickle juice
Yep, like that.
and a little bit of horseradish.
Ooh.
If you like it
Yes.
spicy,
I do like it spicy.
you will like one of those.
I like horseradish.
Yeah.
Creamy.
So you've got this salty, savory drink, and you start your night off with one, or it's a breakfast cocktail.
Oh,
you
yeah.
get an eggs Benny and a Caesar,
Oh.
and you're back at it.
Oh. This is science.
So
This is real talk.
why don't we leave everybody with that? Tell me what you would put as garnish,
On your
and what would
Caesar.
you do to it, and get creative with it.
Yeah.
You can do steak spice.
Turn it in like homework.
That's right.
It's due next week
All right,
when this launches.
you heard it here first, folks.
Caesar 2.0. Bring them.
Maybe we'll do it on the next time. We'll do Caesars.
We'll make all the Caesar recipes that were people send in. And halfway through, we'll just be just so drunk and full of fried chicken,
That's right.
pickles, brisket.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
No,
brisket. There you go.
That's not a bad idea.
That's a Southern Caesar.
That's a Texas Caesar.
There you go.
Well, thanks, sir. I appreciate your general badassness. And if people want to see kind of your work, what should they look at?
They should check out brands that I'm fortunate enough to work for: Sika Gear, Yeti, Stone Glacier backpacks,
Hell yeah.
Gerber knives and tools, fishing tools. Check out what those guys are doing. Or my Instagram handle's Foss, which is my last name, man, the number 8, Fossman8.
Fossman 8.
That's what people call me.
Fossman.
People call me that.
I call you that.
Sloan goes, Fossman.
Fossman.
I've never, shit, okay.
That's just
And
how
I like
is.
it. I do like it.
You got to pick that up over the way. I think there's people like you. If they just called you Adam, that's fucking boring.
It's too formal.
So many Adams. There's only one Fossman.
That's right. They can check some of that stuff out and just see where the hell
see
we
ya.
are.
Come hang out with us at the Wild Sheep Show
That's right.
2019.
I'll buy you, if I see you and you reference this podcast, I'll buy you Caesar.
And you'll see Adam and I leaning up against the wall,
That's right.
trying to handle our Caesars.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Cheers.
Cookbook night coming up.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye. That's it. That's all. Episode number 28 in the books. Thanks to Adam Foss. Great conversation. Great 406 beer. To denote the fact that we're in Bozeman, Montana for the foreseeable future. That will be our new home for myself, my family, and the podcast. So hopefully a lot good to come of that change. And thanks to everybody who's supported that, by the way, as we moved up there and made our big road trip north and did our Texas podcast to say goodbye to that place. Really appreciate all the well wishes and the comments and the insight along the way. Please go, in the meantime, to thehuntingcollective.com. Check out the podcast there. There's a whole bunch of good ones. As I said, the series of Texas podcasts that includes Wyman Menzer, Russell Cunningham, Omar Avila, and our latest, Roy and Ryan Cedars, the founders of Yeti. Until next time, when we'll be taking a trip at some point soon to Washington, D.C. During that trip, we'll be talking to a lot of influential folks in politics and legislation. and just some of my friends that live around there. And so stay tuned for that. We'll coming at you next time. The Hunting Collective. Bye.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins.